As I said a few videos ago, Ubisoft announced the expansion into what they are calling a Division universe, where they have been working on additional ways to introduce the Division franchise to even more gamers. And this has set them up to move on a trajectory that will include more titles and more transmedia content, such as the Division mobile game. So I said I'd stop speculating about what was to come with these new Division-based games, but I guess I lied. I can't help myself. But this time I feel that I have a little more to back up what I'm hoping to see. It isn't the first time that the Division has talked about including the mobile side of gaming. Those of you who have been around playing the Division for a while will remember or have read about the companion app that was originally planned to be released at the same time as the Division 1. This would allow mobile gamers to interact with friends playing the main game. The player on the app would be the one manning a support drone that could rain death from above, or buff the armor of teammates, or alternatively reduce the armor of hostiles. However, this was canned before release due to the imbalance it created. The developers confirmed that it compromised the team-based competitive gameplay. To be fair, I was never surprised by this. As much as I loved the idea behind it, I could imagine the disadvantage and balancing issues this would have created, not to mention the number of technical difficulties this would have included in the long run. Regardless, Ubisoft has been no stranger to mobile games. In recent years, they've released spin-offs based on Assassin's Creed, Rabbids, Just Dance, and Trials. They've also featured the Tom Clancy brand with Tom Clancy's Elite Squad, a crossover title that features heroes from Rainbow Six, Ghost Recon, The Division, Splinter Cell, and Hawks franchises. Technically, API is an acronym for Application Programming Interface. This basically means a software interface that allows two applications to communicate with each other. In gaming, this allows the game and software to interact with one another and share rules, settings, specifications, and data. It's only natural to think that the mobile game or app could simply be a way to tie all the games together. A number of you may be aware of websites like the Division Tracker, where your gaming stats over time are rounded up, showing things like total PvE kills, PvP kills, time played, type of enemy killed, most used weapon types, and much, much more. It would be pretty cool to mess around with loadouts and gear too, and it could possibly even link the main game and Heartlands together somehow. While I like the idea of this type of companion app, I'm fairly certain this isn't the direction they're going to take. If we remember back to the only information they've given us so far, Ubisoft stated that they've been exploring additional ways to introduce the Division to even more players. That games like Heartland is to offer a whole new experience. They are wanting to appeal to new audiences and different games to try and spread the name and gain a larger portion of the industry market share. Whether you're familiar with this term or not, you've likely heard of the game Pokemon Go. Augmented reality gaming is the integration of game visual and audio content with the user's environment in real time. More often than not, these games superimpose a pre-created environment on top of the user's actual environment. With Pokemon Go, the game uses your phone's GPS and clock to detect where and when you are in the game and make the Pokemon appear around you. As you move around, different and more types of Pokemon will appear depending on where you are and what time it is. This mix of a game and real-world interacting is known as augmented reality. No, I don't want to run around catching Pokemon. This is probably just the most well-known version of an AR game, and was the easiest way to explain it. But there is another game called Ingress that actually came out before Pokemon Go. Similar to Pokemon Go, users are expected to walk around the real world and visit nearby landmarks and parks. But there is a little more involved with Ingress. In fact, Ingress players often joke about Pokemon Go as being the kiddie version of Ingress. It doesn't have any of the cute little creatures to capture, and has a much darker story behind it, of which I won't go into right now. But the players are to hack portals and link them together in an effort to conquer as much of the map as you can for your faction. Link 3 portals, and everything in between becomes your faction's turf. Players are able to gain experience and level up, which opens access to more powerful items that can be collected. The defense of these portals comes down to the level of the gear and weapons that's placed on them, and the more high-level players who have placed gear on them, the more difficult it is to take them down. There is a real-time world map that constantly updates the status of how each faction is doing, and this can be narrowed down to country or city. This led to very tight communities, where in a number of instances that I can recall, and this was a few years ago, players, or agents as they're called in-game, would travel to different countries to assist fellow members in regaining control of the region. There are actually a surprising number of events that are held all over the world. I remember a friend of mine having a plane ticket bought for her by her faction, located in a couple of neighbouring countries, so that she could travel to a remote island and capture a portal that was under enemy control, all so that they would stop linking to it. Both Ingress and Pokemon Go have certain real-world locations that held significance within the game, gyms for Pokemon and portals for Ingress. These were all based on real-world landmarks that early players of the game had submitted and had approved. I actually think I still have a few out there, and some of them were pretty ridiculous to be fair. I think I managed to get a park bench and a rubbish bin accepted at one point. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that Ingress already has the bones of what a decent AR Division game could be. The landmarks could represent, well, landmarks. Capturing these landmarks within a certain area would gain control of the region for your faction. The factions could be SHD versus Rogues in the most simple form, but there's no reason why other groups couldn't be included. Think of a worldwide battle for control. There could be certain weapons and skills that could be collected, that could be used in defending or attacking enemy-controlled landmarks. Now, I'm not just talking about this because I think it would be cool, and that I was borderline obsessed with Ingress when it first came out. There have been a few little flags that have had me thinking down this path. Firstly, several years ago, in 2017, the CEO of Ubisoft had a number of interviews where he praised what Niantic and Nintendo were able to achieve and produce with Pokemon Go. He went on to talk about how Ubisoft 2 is working on a product using augmented reality, but he didn't really go into too much detail than that. However, fast forward to just before the release of The Division 2, Ubisoft released something called Echoes Augmented Reality Experience.
I can't! I'm scared of shooting you!
We call them echoes. Echoes are all around you. They recount what happened near your grocery store,
Going somewhere?
No,
We're not.
we're not.
your school,
1, 2. What's happening?
and even your local gas station.
Be quick.
Okay, good. It's working.
Discovering Echo will unlock rewards. Rewards that in a few weeks will help ensure your survival.
In this short introduction to the game, users were able to explore around the neighbourhood and find echoes. These would provide a small amount of story towards the main game that will be coming out in a few weeks, but also some in-game cosmetics. This app or game had very little content, and didn't take long to acquire all available collectibles. But it didn't really feel like it was just a marketing piece for The Division 2. It wasn't even available in all countries. It felt like more of a test of some of their basic framework to be utilised more in depth later on, like they were just toying with the idea at that stage, perhaps for a future mobile game they had in mind. So what do you think? The Division Augmented Reality would certainly bring a different type of gamer, while still being interesting to a number of us who enjoy the main game. I know I could certainly use a reason to get off my ass for a change and get some exercise, but truth be told, I actually hope it doesn't go down this path. If it's anything like Ingress, I'll probably end up being obsessively competitive again, and I certainly wouldn't have the time to be making content for YouTube anymore, or spending time with my family, or turning up to work, or eating. But my region would definitely be well defended. Regardless, we'll hopefully be finding out more about their plans for the Division and the various games they're working on for the franchise at Ubisoft Forward or E3 in June. Thank you very much for listening to yet another edition of NGN attempting to create gaming ideas for the Division franchise. Catch you in the next one. Cheers!